In this video, you will learn 8 practical steps to use your salary as a tool for growth, and not as a prison that only pays bills every month. Because, as Robert Kiyosaki teaches, the problem is not only in how much money you earn, but in what you do with the money after it reaches your hands. Throughout this video, you will understand how to stop spending everything, better control your salary, set money aside for the future, avoid unnecessary debt, invest in knowledge, increase your income, and start building a stronger financial life. But before anything else, you need to understand one simple thing. A salary is like a seed. If you consume everything today, nothing is left to plant. But if you learn to set a part aside, take care of it and use it wisely, that small seed can grow into a much larger harvest in the future. And this is where the first step comes in. The first big mistake that keeps many people from getting rich is spending everything they earn. It may seem obvious, but that is exactly what keeps millions of people stuck in the same place. The salary hits the account, and before the month is even over, it is already gone. Part goes to bills, part to purchases, part to installments, part to small day-to-day expenses, and by the time the person realizes it, nothing was left to save, invest, or build something greater. The problem becomes even more dangerous when income increases, because many people believe that if they earned more, everything would be solved. But when the raise comes, expenses grow too. The person switches phones, upgrades their lifestyle, takes on new installments, starts spending more on leisure, clothes, restaurants, and things they used to avoid, and in the end, even earning more, they still have no money. This happens because they did not change their mindset. They only increased consumption. Whoever wants to get rich on their own salary needs to break this cycle. They need to understand that every raise, every extra money, and every leftover at the end of the month should not automatically become more spending. A part needs to be protected. A part needs to be planted. A part needs to work for your future. Because if you spend everything you earn, it does not matter whether you earn little or a lot. You will always be starting from zero the following month. The first step then is this. Stop treating your salary as money meant to disappear and start treating it as a tool to build freedom. Before moving on to the second step, let me tell you something important. If you have made it this far and felt that it is time to change your financial path, I left supplementary material in the link in the comments to help you take the first steps with more clarity. Because it is not enough to just watch and feel motivated for a few minutes. Whoever truly wants to change needs to study, apply, and review their decisions every day. So if you decided to stop spending everything, better organize your salary and start building a stronger future, grab that material in the link now. It was prepared precisely for those who want to get out of autopilot and start a new financial phase. Now let us move on to the second step, controlling your money with a monthly budget. After you understand that you cannot spend everything you earn, the next thing is to give your salary a direction before it disappears. Because money without direction becomes a mess. And a salary without planning becomes nothing more than a visitor in your account. It arrives today and leaves tomorrow. Many people say, "I do not know where my money goes." But the truth is that money always goes somewhere. It goes to the grocery store, to the credit card, to installments, to delivery, to small purchases, to subscriptions, to things that seem cheap in the moment, but that weigh heavily by the end of the month. That is why you need to create a simple monthly budget. It does not have to be complicated. It does not need a difficult spreadsheet. You can start with pen and paper, a phone notepad, or a simple app. What matters is that you know how much comes in and where each part goes. Divide your salary into 3 main areas. The first part is for basic needs: housing, food, electricity, water, transportation, internet, and everything you truly need to live safely. The second part is for quality of life, leisure, an outing, a planned purchase, something that brings comfort but without excess. Because organizing money does not mean living unhappily. It means enjoying without destroying the future. The third part is the most important: financial reserve and investments. This is the part that begins building your freedom. Robert Kiyosaki teaches that whoever wants to grow financially needs to learn to buy assets and not just consume liabilities. But before buying assets, you need to create space in your budget. And that space is born when you stop letting money run loose. Think of your salary as if it were a team. Every dollar needs to have a function. $1 pays a necessity, another protects your future, another buys knowledge, another starts building wealth. When you do this, you stop living in fear. You stop looking at your account at the end of the month without understanding what happened. You start noticing where you are overdoing it, where you can cut back, and where you can improve. And here is the secret. A budget is not meant to trap you. It is meant to free you. Because when you know where the money is going, you gain the power of choice. You decide what stays, what goes, what gets reduced, and what needs to change. So before the next paycheck comes in, do one simple thing. Write down how much you earn, list your main expenses, and set a part aside, even if small, for your future. This is the beginning of financial control. And whoever controls their money today starts building freedom tomorrow. Now let us move on to the third step: paying yourself first. This is one of the simplest yet also one of the most powerful habits for those who want to change their financial life. Most people do the opposite. When the salary comes in, they first pay the bills, then make purchases, then handle unexpected expenses, then spend on leisure, then pay installments, and only at the end do they think, if anything is left over, I will save it. But almost nothing is ever left over, because when money sits loose in an account, it always finds a way out. A sale always comes up, a craving, an urgency, a small purchase, an installment or an expense that seemed harmless. That is why, if you want to build wealth with your salary, you need to reverse the order. Before paying everyone else, pay your future. As soon as the salary comes in, set a part aside for yourself, not to spend on just anything, but to build your security, your financial reserve, your investments, and your future projects. It can be 10%, it can be 5%, it can be a small amount at first. What matters is building the habit, because in the beginning, the amount may seem small, but the habit is worth more than the number. Robert Kiyosaki teaches that whoever wants to escape the rat race needs to learn to put money into assets. That is, things that help generate more money in the future. But to buy assets, you first need to set money aside. And to set money aside, you cannot wait for leftovers. You need to decide in advance. Imagine a person who receives their salary and sets a part aside on the very first day. That amount leaves the account as if it were a mandatory bill, except that instead of paying for the past, they are paying for the future. Over time, that person builds a reserve, then they start investing, then they learn more, then they gain confidence. Then they realize that their salary is no longer serving only to pay bills, but also to build freedom. Now imagine the opposite, a person who always waits to save at the end of the month. They have good intentions. They say they will start. But when the end of the month comes, the money is already gone, and the cycle begins again. That is why the secret is simple. Do not save what is left over. Set it aside first and live on the rest. In the beginning, you may need to adjust some expenses. You may need to cut back on an impulse purchase, reduce delivery orders, cancel a forgotten subscription, or revisit installments. But this is not a loss. This is a smart trade. You are trading small passing expenses for a stronger financial life. So, with the next paycheck, run a test. Before anything else, set a part aside for your reserve or investment, even if it is small. Do this first, because when you pay yourself first, you are telling your mind, My future is also a priority. And that thought, repeated every month, can completely change your financial life. Now let us move on to the fourth step, avoiding unnecessary debt. Because there is no point in earning a salary, making a budget, and even trying to save money, if at the same time you are letting debt carry your future away. Many people do not realize it, but when they buy impulsively on a credit card, dip into an overdraft or installment everything without thinking, they are not just spending today's money. They are committing tomorrow's money, and that is one of the greatest dangers for those who want to grow financially. The person looks at a small installment and thinks, I can afford it. But then another installment comes, then another, then a credit card charge, then an unexpected expense, then the interest. And by the time they realize it, part of the salary is already claimed before it even hits the account. It is as if the person worked the entire month, but the money already had an owner. Robert Kiyosaki teaches that one of the great differences between those who build wealth and those who remain financially trapped lies in how they handle debt. There are debts that can be used strategically to build assets, but most people use debt to buy liabilities, things that take money out of their pocket and generate no return. The problem is not buying something necessary. The problem is turning a momentary desire into a long financial commitment. A new phone, an expensive outfit, a trip paid in installments, a purchase made just because it was on sale. All of this can seem harmless in the moment, but if you have no control, these decisions start stealing your freedom. That is why, before paying anything in installments, ask yourself 3 simple questions. Do I truly need this right now? Will this purchase improve my life or just feed a passing desire? Will this installment bring me closer to or further from my financial freedom? These questions seem simple, but they can save a lot of money, because whoever wants to get rich needs to learn to say no to some of today's desires in order to say yes to a better life tomorrow. If you already have debt, do not panic. Start by organizing everything. Write down how much you owe, to whom, what the installment amounts are, and which debts carry the highest interest. Then, make a plan to tackle the most dangerous ones first, especially credit card debt and overdraft, because the interest can grow very quickly. And while you are paying off those debts, stop creating new ones. That is the key. There is no point trying to climb out of a hole while digging another one. You need to close the doors through which money is escaping. So the fourth step is this: use credit very carefully. The credit card is not extra income. The limit is not your money. And a small installment also adds up when it piles on top of others. When you avoid unnecessary debt, your salary begins to breathe. And when your salary breathes, you can save, invest, study, and build something greater. Because financial freedom does not begin just by earning more. It begins by stopping the habit of handing your future over to expenses that build nothing. Now let us move on to the fifth step, investing in knowledge to increase your value. Because there comes a point where cutting expenses alone is not enough. Controlling money is important. Avoiding debt is essential. Saving a part of your salary is powerful. But if you want to accelerate your financial life, you also need to increase your capacity to earn more. And one of the smartest ways to do that is by investing in knowledge. Robert Kiyosaki teaches that true wealth begins when you develop financial intelligence, because money without knowledge can disappear quickly. But knowledge, when well applied, can open doors, create opportunities, and increase your income over time. Think about it. A person who learns a new skill becomes more valuable. They can earn better at work, get promoted, offer services, sell something, create extra income, and even start a small business. But many people do the opposite. When they have extra money, they spend it all on consumption. They buy things that lose value while failing to invest in their own mind. But a new outfit can go out of style. A phone can lose value. An object can break. but a well-learned skill can generate money for many years. Perhaps you can learn sales. Perhaps you can learn customer service. Perhaps you can study digital marketing, finance, investing, management, communication, video editing, languages, computer skills, cooking, beauty, repairs, any skill that has value in the market. What matters is understanding. The more useful you become, the more opportunities appear. If you work at a company today, ask yourself, what skill would make my boss see more value in me? If you want to become an entrepreneur, ask, what problem can I learn to solve for other people? If you want extra income, ask, what do I know how to do or can learn that someone would pay for? These questions change your direction, because those who only wait for a raise can stay stuck for years. But those who start developing themselves begin creating their own paths. And you do not need to start with something expensive. You can study through videos, books, affordable courses, practical materials, notes, and above all, application. Because knowledge sitting still also does not change lives. What transforms is learning and putting it into practice. Set aside some time every week to study money and skills. It can be a little, but be consistent. 30 minutes a day can already change your perspective in a few months. While many people use their free time only to be distracted, you can use part of that time to grow. And here is the main point. The salary you receive today is the result of the value you deliver today. If you increase your value, you also increase the chance of improving your income tomorrow. So the fifth step is this: invest in yourself. Because before buying assets, often the first asset you need to strengthen is your own mind. Now let us move on to the sixth step: negotiating your salary better and seeking new opportunities. After you start controlling your money better and investing in knowledge, it is time to understand one thing. You also need to learn to position yourself better in the market. Many people spend years working hard, delivering results, arriving on time, solving problems, helping the company grow, but never talk about salary, never show their results, and never seek a better opportunity. The person keeps waiting to be recognized automatically, but in financial life, waiting too long can also cost dearly. Robert Kiyosaki teaches that whoever wants to grow needs to stop thinking only like an employee and start thinking like someone who understands value. In other words, you need to ask yourself, how much value am I delivering and how can I show that in an intelligent way? Negotiating a salary is not about arriving with demands. It is not about complaining. It is not about comparing your life with others. Negotiating a salary with strategy means arriving prepared. Before asking for a raise, look at what you deliver. What problems did you solve? What results did you help improve? Did you sell more, save time, bring in clients, organize processes, improve service, take on greater responsibilities? Put that on paper, because when you simply say, I need to earn more, it sounds like a personal need. But when you show, I generated results, took on more responsibilities, and can contribute even more, the conversation changes. You stop asking out of need and start negotiating with value. And if where you are does not offer room for growth, then perhaps it is time to look at new opportunities. Sometimes a person stays trapped in an environment that does not value their effort, while somewhere else the same skill could be worth more. But pay attention. Do not do this impulsively. Do it with planning. Update your resume, improve your professional profile, talk to people in the field, study the market. See which skills are being valued most. Prepare yourself before taking any step. Because growing financially also requires courage, but courage with strategy. And here is a simple truth. If you want to earn more, you need to become more valuable and learn to show that value. It is not enough to just work in silence and hope someone will notice. You need to build your reputation, improve your skills, and seek environments where your growth is possible. So the sixth step is this: Do not accept staying forever at the same financial level. Prepare yourself, improve, negotiate, seek opportunities, and learn to position yourself. Because a salary may be a seed, but you also need to take care of the ground where that seed is being planted. Now let us move on to the 7th step, creating extra sources of income. Because depending on just one source of money is one of the things that most keeps a person financially trapped. If all your money comes from a single salary, any problem becomes a worry. A layoff, an emergency, a drop in hours worked, an unexpected bill. All of this can shake your financial life, but when you start building other streams, even small ones, you gain more security and more freedom. Robert Kiyosaki teaches that whoever wants to escape the rat race needs to stop depending only on a salary and start building assets and income streams. This does not mean quitting your job overnight. It means using your salary as a base while creating something on the side with intelligence and patience. And here many people get stuck because they think, I do not have money to start a business. But not every extra source needs to start big. You can start by offering a service. You can use a skill you already have. You can do something on weekends. You can work with the internet. You can create content. You can sell simple products. You can offer consulting. You can teach something. You can resell. You can offer a service to people nearby. You can turn knowledge into a small income. What matters is starting with what you have. Maybe you cook well. Maybe you know how to edit videos. Maybe you understand beauty, repairs, organization, sales, customer service, design, tutoring, writing, social media, or any skill that solves someone's problem. Money appears when you solve problems. And the more problems you learn to solve, the more opportunities start to arise. In the beginning, this extra income may seem small. Maybe only a little money comes in. Maybe you make just one sale. Maybe you get just one client. But do not underestimate the beginning. What today seems small can become something greater if you treat it seriously. The difference lies in not spending everything that comes in. If you create an extra income and use it all for consumption, it becomes just more passing money. But if you use that income to pay off debt, build a reserve, buy assets, or invest in knowledge, it accelerates your journey. Think of it this way. Your salary pays for the structure of your life. Your extra income can build your freedom. So the 7th step is this. Stop depending on just one stream of money. Start small, test ideas, observe what people need, offer something of value, and use that income wisely. Because when you create new income streams, you stop being at the mercy of just one path and begin building more possibilities for your future. Now let us move on to the 8th and final step, making better decisions every month. Because in the end, getting rich on a salary does not depend only on earning more. It depends on repeating good decisions month after month. There is no point watching this video, feeling motivated for a few minutes, and then going back to the same old habits. Financial change happens when you take what you learned and turn it into practice. Robert Kiyosaki teaches that many people remain trapped because they work for money, but never learn to direct the money. And this is exactly where you need to do things differently. Every month when the paycheck comes in, ask yourself a few simple questions. Am I spending less than I earn? Am I setting a part aside for my future? Am I avoiding unnecessary debt? Am I investing in knowledge? Am I creating something that can generate income for me in the future? These questions seem simple, but they put your financial life on the right path. Because a person who earns more but spends everything stays trapped. A person who gets a raise but increases their installments stays trapped. A person who creates extra income but uses it all on consumption stays trapped. Now, a person who earns what they have, controls it better, cuts waste, avoids debt, studies, invests, and seeks to increase their income, that person starts changing course. Perhaps the change will not show up in a week. perhaps in the beginning it will seem slow, but every right decision is like a seed planted. Today, you organize. Tomorrow you save. Then you invest. Then you learn more. Then you create extra income. And over time, you begin to notice that your financial life is no longer stuck in the same place. The secret is not to wait for the perfect moment. Start with the salary you have. Start with the knowledge you have. Start with a small amount. Start by cutting one expense. Start by paying off one debt. Start by studying a new skill. The important thing is to start. Because a salary can be just passing money, or it can be the tool that will build a much greater life. Everything depends on the decisions you make every month. So, if this video helped you, like it now, subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who also needs to change their financial life. Sometimes a person just needs to hear the right message at the right moment to begin a new phase. And before you leave, write in the comments, "I will change my financial path." Write that as a commitment to yourself, because your financial life starts to change when you stop postponing and decide to act with more awareness, discipline, and direction.